So Mark Pope was at a luncheon on Monday. I guess it's the Kentucky tip-off luncheon in Louisville. I have a lot of questions about all of these preseason festivities that Kentucky basketball goes through. They're doing a luncheon, a tip-off, a season tip-off in Louisville. Doesn't that seem counterintuitive? You're doing it where the rival is?
I kind of love that. I
Like, does
kind of
Pat
love that.
Kelsey get to host a banquet in Lexington to kick off the
No,
season?
no, because this is our state. It might be their city, but it's our state. We can go anywhere we want to go.
Power move. Okay, I guess I get that. Anyways, in the process, of course, anytime Mark Pope is anywhere, there's an opportunity to get a microphone in front of him and get some intel. We need some intel on Kentucky basketball right now because Jaland Lowe is going through the injury recovery process. Sounds like it's as minor as it could be when his shoulder popped out of place. That's good news. However, that still means that we're going to need a replacement for the Purdue exhibition and possibly for the beginning of the season. So I'm going to read you some quotes here from Mark Pope. There's a big write up on like who could replace Jaland Lowe on KSR Plus on 3 from Jack Pilgrim. Shout out to Jack for putting all this together. As always, he does a great job. But Mark Pope apparently gave some quotes that talked through Denzel Aberdeen, Jasper Johnson, Colin Chandler, all his options. Then he got to Otega Oweh, and this is what Jack Pilgrim wrote. Pope said, "We're in a little bit of a different scenario than we felt like we were in most of the season last year. We have so many capable options." But as Pilgrim puts it, the first name out of Pope's mouth when running through those options, quote, "Well, Otega's played some minutes at the one." That's interesting. He went on to joke that basically anybody on the team could play point guard, except for Andre Yelovich. Andrea Yelovich knows he's not allowed to dribble. He's only allowed to shoot, according to Mark Pope. You're nodding. I'd love your thoughts on that in just a moment. But um, there was one specific quote from this that jumped out to me as interesting. And again, this is what Pope said at the banquet yesterday as he ran through all of the options. Denzel Aberdeen has been unbelievable for us. He's an incredible veteran. Jasper Johnson has shown amazing acuity at the point. He's growing so fast. Colin Chandler is going to be a formidable force. But then this one, quote, "Otega is convinced that he is the answer for us at the point." So it sounds like to me, Otega is at least privately campaigning. Coach, it's me. If we need to cover for Jalen while he's out, it's me. I'm ready. That's your star player saying that. What do you make of all of this? Is Otega at point guard really a formidable option here for Mark Pope? And go anywhere you want with this, whether it's Yelovich not being allowed to dribble. There's a lot going on here.
Listen, as always, a lot with Mark Pope. I do want to point out a lot of people think a lot of things. I thought it was a good idea for me to take the last shot in my men's league game on Sunday when I was 0 for 4. Subsequently went 0 for 5. Immediately threw a temper tantrum. Just because you think something's a good idea doesn't mean it actually is. Um, that's how I view Otega at the point guard role. We saw it last year, like a lot. Maybe not a lot, but we saw it at points last year with how many injuries they had. Kentucky was worse. Like that's not saying Otega didn't do a good job in the point guard role because I think for who he is, he played the role as best as he could. But the team wasn't necessarily better than when they had a real point guard and Otega could kind of be like off ball number one scoring option type of guy. Like that was the best version of Kentucky. So I think, yeah, like maybe Otega is convinced he's the answer. People are convinced of a lot of stuff. Like I said, I was convinced I should take the last shot. Didn't work. Didn't work. And you need to be like, but you need to have that level of confidence because somebody has to. I don't know that I believe Jasper Johnson's gonna be the starting point guard with even with Jaland Lowe's absence. So somebody kind of has to step up. I could see Aberdeen and Otega sharing the role being the answer. And if Ortega's convinced of it for that reason, like maybe. I love you don't let Yelovich dribble. I'm also not allowed to dribble. You receive ball, shoot ball. That's what some people just got to do it. I love that. Like you have to guard him now, even though he's not going to dribble, and that just opens up the floor for everybody else.
That quote cracked me up because so much about Mark Pope's offense has been about allowing his bigs to dribble, right? The whole system is like we let our bigs pass. We use them as hubs, screeners, dribble handoff guys. We want skilled bigs. And it's like Yelovich knows he's not allowed to dribble. Like, okay, is it diabolically bad? Why isn't he allowed to dribble? Is that why he was running the stairs? Or maybe on a positive flip, maybe his jumper's just so good and he's tentative to shoot. They want him shooting. So it's don't dribble, catch, shoot. You're 6'11. You're unguardable. If that's the pitch, I kind of love that. But it seemed playful in nature from Pope. I also found that quote hilarious. Dion, you okay? You look a little sweaty.
So every August, September, my air conditioning breaks, and there's just nothing I can do about it.
Dude, that's tough. Out in California, too. Like, I mean, what is it, like 80 degrees still there today?
Today's gonna be like 85, 90, but like peak summer, it gets like 110. My AC just doesn't ever hold up.
I mean, it sounds like it's a bummer that you can't take advantage of Duncan Mechanical Solutions because Duncan Mechanical Solutions is an HVAC company based in Angola, servicing the tri-state area, bringing commercial quality to the residential world with excellent customer service. You heard us talk about Duncan Mechanical last summer. If you need heating or air conditioning, kitchen or bath remodeling, or all of the above, Duncan Mechanical is the place to go in the Midwest. Go to DuncanMechanicalSolutions.com to take advantage and make sure you don't wind up like Dion. Um, okay, couple thoughts on this, and then I'm going to body language PhD this. I'm pretty excited. So I like Otega the alpha here. I
Mhm.
like Otega the ownership guy. I think people know I'm well documented at this point. He won me over last year so much in so many ways. That homecoming game for him against Oklahoma was one of the most impressive individual performances I have ever seen from a college basketball player. Like the moment of going back to the place you just were and putting your team on your back and dragging them to a victory with all these clutch plays. It was special. It was nothing short of special. He's a competitive menace and he's a damn good basketball player. And I feel like, we put out our first team All Americans. Otega's not an AP All American first teamer. He's ours. He's on our first team for sure. I insisted that he was there. I think he's going to be sensational. Um, so I like the idea that like some adversity hit Kentucky, and Otega's like, Coach, I'll do it. Like I think your best players should respond with that type of energy. There's whatever it is. You need something that our team currently feels like it doesn't have. Let me be the guy to figure it out. I love that if Otega is campaigning for that. At the same time, I think to your point, Otega at his best should not be at point. Otega at his best needs to be focused on being the big alpha scorer that he is and being an awesome defender. And it gets harder to do that if he has to like initiate the offense at Kentucky. Here's the more interesting part of this that is body language PhD'd right now. As much as I love Otega's like tenacity and competitive fire here, there are actual other point guards on this roster, right? I'm not crazy. Like this is not, it's not a situation where you lost the only point guard on the team. So now where do we turn?
Yeah, it's not
Ja-
Illinois.
Jasper Johnson is a point guard. More importantly, because even if Jasper, like, oh, he's a freshman, he might not be ready. Denzel Aberdeen is a point guard that just won a national championship being a backup point guard. So I do think there's at least a question here of like if it even needs to be said that Otega is like, Coach, let me play point guard now. What does that say about the other point guards? Like, to me, if Jaland Lowe is out for 3 weeks, there shouldn't be a question on what's next. It should be Denzel Aberdeen's up. That's why you paid $2 million to steal him from Florida. He's a great backup point guard. So if Otega, your best player, is really like, I'm the answer, that inherently means Denzel Aberdeen's not the answer in Otega's eyes. And I kind of wonder what that means.
I it's not just Aberdeen. I mean, Jasper's like almost like a five-star too, right? Like you have all these guys. I mentioned it while you're talking. It's not an Illinois situation. Like no Petrovic, you have to convince yourself of like I don't want to say convince yourself, that sounds rude, but you have to like hype Keith Wagler up. Like you could just be like, hey, I got Aberdeen, I got Jasper Johnson. Like what happened to the deepest team in the country? Like what happened to that? Because like if you're the deepest team in the country, your backup plan shouldn't be my small forward plays point guard. And I do believe this is the deepest team in the country, by the way. I'm not trying to take anything away from Kentucky, the levels of depth, so on and so forth. I think Mark Pope is actually taking away from that through this comment a little bit. Or Otega is maybe. And who knows? This is just Otega speaking. So maybe Mark Pope has a completely different plan where he's like, Otega, like, calm down. Like, let's stop saying this. Who knows?
Well, that kind of was how it was said. If you read it and see it, like Pope was basically saying, well, like Ortega's convinced he's the answer. I think it's all in good fun here, but I don't know. I feel like it shouldn't be as much of a toss up as it's being made. Like, who's the replacement? It's the guy you paid $2 million for to steal from Florida that plays point guard. Like that's a 3 week replacement until Jalen Lowe gets back.
I love the idea of Yelovich being like, yo, I'm the answer. And Pope's like, you're not allowed to dribble.
I think everybody on Kentucky except for Trent Noah thinks they're the answer at point guard, and we'll see.
What about like, is Colin Chandler going to get to play ever?
Well, he went 0 for 7 in the exhibition, the scrimmage over the weekend. I think Colin Chandler thinks he needs to be Trent Noah when he's actually supposed to be like a point guard.
I fear Kentucky fans. Please don't hate me. Omer Meyer sees food, though.
Okay, all right. They don't even know who Omer is. I think they're going to be fine.